Here are some intrusive thoughts that really do come in my mind from time to time. It pretty much is a trauma thing. It is about my fear of having the same love life as my parents. My parents don't necessarily love each other. They say malicious things to each other pretty much every day. This has been going on ever since ever since I was born. My parents married with only 1 week of knowing each other. Their pregnancy with me was all an accident and unplanned. Before they got pregnant with me, they almost got divorced. They got into fights every single day, whether if it was verbally or physically. My youth was pretty much going to be fucked either way. Because they always like to brag about how they stayed together for me and made sure I grew up right, when in reality, I only got the better out of the worst case scenarios. It was either they split up and I got raised in an unhealthy home, because my dad's side of the family, we're all just potheads, and my mom's side of the family, we're all just low IQ, uneducated people. Or I get raised by both my parents, and I grow up watching a toxic relationship and be part of a toxic household as well. Either way, I was gonna grow up broken, and that's exactly what happened. Even during times when it looked like they were gonna work things out, turns out it was only a band aid for their problems. They both are not in their marriage for the right reasons. My mom is just someone who has unrealistic dreams of wanting to be with someone rich that will take care of her and she won't have to work for anything. That's her fantasy. She also has psychosis as well, and schizophrenia as well. And she's allowed that to be a burden on everyone. My father, on the other hand, is someone out for his own personal gain. He's not the type of guy you'd want to open up to about your problems, and he doesn't take anyone else's feelings into consideration. According to him, he's always right and everyone is wrong except him. The words they would use to always belittle each other whenever they were at each other's throats is just so stupid. They don't know they're two sides of the same coin. They both are more alike than they want to admit. They both have their own selfish agendas. They talk too much and don't listen enough. They want what's only best for them, instead of taking into consideration on what I want to do with my life. For dad, it's him thinking I'm entitled to take care of him for the rest of my life, and constantly belittling my mom for not having a job or finding purpose in her life, not taking into consideration that she has mental health issues. And about that, he constantly always says malicious insults to her, like mental or crazy. To every stranger we see, he's very nice to them, but when it's his own family, he'll be the biggest verbally abusive old fuck. For mom, it's her constantly wanting her way and her way only. She unapologetically tells me that she has control over my life and my life choices are all up to her. She also always constantly thinks everyone is out to get her, and she's always talking about how she isn't happy where she's at in life. She wants to divorce my dad and wants a house for herself and I, when in reality, she can't even do that because she herself isn't a high value woman. She just fantasizes that the right guy will sweep her off her feet and give her everything she wants without contributing to anything. I don't get where she has the ego to say that type of stuff. I can see why a high value normal woman would say that, but not an unemployed woman in her 40s with a compromised mental health. She can get pretty fucked up too when it comes to the insults as well. She'll call my dad cripple as either a receipt for him calling her mental or she just goes out of her way to do it. But see, this is what I'm talking about. They both are the same. They both have the same unrealistic unexpectations of what they want. My dad being my mom functioning normally, and my mom having her standards too high for her dream life. Most of all, though, they both love to play victims in situations that they both create. My dad constantly complains about his physical condition because he had a stroke over 11 years ago and complains about his pain and compromised abilities due to it. When in reality, back when he was able bodied, he refused to go to the doctor and kept belittling everyone who tried to help him stay healthy. Ever since I was 10, all the way up to present day, he's constantly trying to make me feel like bad that he has that, and constantly trying to make me feel sympathy for him, and whines about how I never help him with anything. When in reality, I'm all he's got, and whenever I do help him, it just flies over his head. He also hangs the pettiest things over my head. So even being human is something that I can't even do around him. My mom, too, when she was recently hospitalized for schizophrenia. Not gonna lie, I didn't miss her at all, but she was always constantly telling me how much she missed me and she hated being there when before she got hospitalized. She constantly hounded the people who tried to help her not go there. She stopped taking her medication on purpose and her health started to deteriorate. And her going to the hospital was just going to be her inevitable fate. Keep in mind, she's put us in three crises. One was when I was 6, one when I was 11, one when I was 16, and the recent one at 21. Just like my dad, she constantly tries to make me feel guilty, saying if I don't listen to her, it will be my fault that her health declines and all that. That's where they both parallel, playing victims in their own self made situations and putting unfair burdens on their kid. Nothing has changed between them. They don't evolve as people. They still are saying the same hurtful shit to each other. And to this day, they don't even care about the monster their kid has become. The monster they created. I admit, I'm one edgy and distasteful guy when it comes to proving my points and getting what I want, but can you blame me? And now let's talk about the visions I get that I do not like to have. There are times where I had crushes on certain women or pursued one person. I sometimes get unwanted thoughts. A flashing scene would just play in my head of me having the same relationship with this person like the one my mom and dad have. I would get scenes in my head of my significant other putting us through the same crises as they did, as they put me through. And despite knowing that isn't going to be me, of course, it's still something that sticks with me out of trauma. You all know me too well. I've just always tried to fight through it, and this isn't something I see getting cured until I shift to my desired reality. Even with the most recent person I sort of find attractive, but barely know yet, I would get those exact same visions. I wish I can go deeper into the details, and I don't mean to be vague, but this is all there is. This is just how it is. Something as little as this can have a huge impact on the thought process and judgment. I even project sometimes and subconsciously get visions of one of my friends and his girlfriend going through the same thing. Not because I want to, but because of my own PTSD. All that tension I had to deal with growing up is not something I wish on any kid. I didn't think I'd be around long enough to tell this story, but here I am. I can't wait to grow up right this time, in the next life.